This year, we celebrate our 25th anniversary. Yes, for those of you out there who know us well, it has been 25 years. It has been my joy and my privilege to be part of this group and to be the founder. The Joint Committee for Children's Healthcare actually started 25 years ago when a student in my class fell in the gym and fractured her leg in 3 different places. At the time, in 1994, her mother and father were both working but had no access to health care. So here was one of our students, my student, who had her leg broken in 3 different places by merely playing in the gym, doing her gym lesson, and there was no funding and no access to health insurance for her. Obviously, I was hysterical about that, and I went to and got and received much help from the people of Everett and the executive director, the late Rob Rasuccia. At the time, I went to the Board of Health and to the Superintendent of Schools and to the mayor then in 1994. And together, we did a survey in the community of Everett. The superintendent allowed, because I was an educator in the public schools, allowed me to use, along with the Board of Health and the school nurses, to survey all of the parents in the Everett Public Schools. The results of that survey were profound and scary. At the time, the executive director, Rob Rasuccia from Healthcare for All, said to me, "You will find, Jackie, that 1 out of every 4 families in Everett do not have access or the knowledge of health care." And lo and behold, our survey results, as I said, was extremely profound, because the survey results came out 3 out of the 4 only had health access. So you can see that in 1994, our children, our family, our community was in great jeopardy and great need of an organization like the Joint Committee for Children's Healthcare in Everett. I am Jackie Coogan. I have been a proud educator in the Everett Public Schools. I have been helping and running this organization for the last 25 years. For the first 19 years, I was the volunteer executive director. I can't tell you how much all of this has helped so many. Now, in 2019, not only just the community of Everett, but Everett and 79 other communities. I'd like to introduce you to some of my colleagues, my friends, my cohorts, people who have been with us from the beginning. I'm so very proud and so appreciative to their work. I'd like to introduce you first, and maybe he does not need any introduction. He is our beloved pediatrician in Everett, my colleague, and most of all, my friend, Dr. Peter Masucci.
Thank you, Jackie. My name is Peter Masucci, and I've been a pediatrician here in the wonderful community of Everett for more years than I want to remember. I think it's 42 now. I practiced general pediatrics. In 1994, I had been in practice about 18 years, I guess. And I was looking for something outside of the practice that I could do to give me some gratification, I think, other than what I was doing in the office, which was gratifying. I was approached one day by Jackie, and she informed me about the Joint Committee for Children's Health Care in Everett. And as soon as I knew the mission and I knew the people who already were beginning the board, or beginning the committee rather, it became a no-brainer for me. I respected the people in the community who started it, and I wanted to become part of it. And their mission, I felt very strongly, and still do today, is an important one. So, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. And thank you for having that need to not only serve the children and families, but to also serve the community in general. We have appreciated your assistance and your help and your expertise these last 25 years.
Thank you.
Beside Peter is my good friend and colleague and volunteer, Eileen Durin. Eileen?
Thank you. Good evening. I am Eileen Durin, as Jackie said. I am a registered nurse for over 40 years, and I came to meet the folks in the Joint Committee many years ago as we were Melrose Wakefield Hospital, now Melrose Wakefield Healthcare, and our organization, just as Peter was talking about the ways in which we could serve the community, I was asked as a nurse to go out and to work in the community. And I met this wonderful group of people at a meeting, and we were talking at that time about the need for not only children's health care, but also children's health issues. And I was sent to Everett. We had just merged Melrose Wakefield with Whidden Memorial at the time, which is now Cambridge Health Alliance Everett. And the two hospitals came together and asked that I would attend this committee. And throughout the years that I've worked with the coalition and the committee here, I have felt that it has been one of the most important things that I've done in my career. My career is full of lots of different kinds of things, but as a nurse, being responsible for the overall health of the community, it starts with those children. It starts with having access to things like health insurance, good food, so many other things that we all work on together. I had known Peter from his work at the hospital. As a pediatrician, he and I worked together on teaching new parents how to care for their children. But this gave us the opportunity to work together in a very different way. And I think this has been a leading model to prepare and expose the community to health care as really a way to improve lives of all that we touch. And I've been honored to serve as a board member in the past. I've also served the committee as an educator, and I continue to look for ways in which I can support this amazing committee and the work that it does. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. And I really want to introduce to you not only her expertise, but somebody right from the committee who we call Mum. She came to us not only as a colleague and a friend, but as a parent, which was so important to us and still is. She's going to tell you a little bit about herself. You also should know that years later, currently now, and probably for the last 14, 15 years, she is actually now staff. Monica?
Hi everybody, my name is Monica Ulisi. I'm a nurse's aide, I'm a mom, and I'm working with the Joint Committee as a staff member. So I got involved with the Joint Committee through the school system. My son, that time I had two, now I have four. So my oldest
That's
son,
good. That's wonderful, Monica.
My oldest son was at the Cavarian, and I received a paper and about a workshop, and the speaker would be Dr. Peter Masucci.
Right.
And I said, wow, he's my son, PC. I want to go to see what's going on. And then when I get there, he was talking about bipolar, and I saw they have a paper you have to sign in. How can you help? And I said, well, I can translate. So I put my name to translate. And then 1 week later, I get a phone call. You put your name, would you like to translate for the Haitian? I'm like, yes, yes. Why? Because I felt welcome when they called me to help as an immigrant. Like, I was going city to city, state to state, and then I felt welcome in Everett. And I'm like, if those people want me to help, so to translate for the Haitian who doesn't speak English, that would be great. So since then, I'm involved. I get trained for everything. And the most thing I really appreciate, everything was free. Like, from where I come from, you don't get anything for free. And I'm like, oh my God, they're doing all those things, helping people for free. It was amazing. So since I'm stick with you guys, so with the JCC, so which is, it's in my heart. And it's good to feel like you help and people appreciate that. Because every time they come and you do anything for them, this is, oh, thank you, thank you. Do I need to pay? You say, no, no, they appreciate it.
Thank you, Monica.
Excuse
As
me.
you can see, I have 3 people with us that really have been here really from the early beginning. But they really just represent a small portion of how large this whole group has grown, and all of the expertise and intelligence and diversity. And as Monica says, they bring us heart. Okay? They bring us heart. I would like to just remind people of the Joint Committee for Children's Healthcare's mission. And that is to make all people aware and educate them on affordable health care. You know, in 1994, it did not exist as it does today in 2019. We have been hugely successful in bringing that awareness, educating them, and then allowing them to find their way to access health insurance so that they don't have to be afraid that they don't have the money to pay for services. I'd like to go a little bit deeper into why. Why? You know, Peter, in 1994, I was a 6th grade teacher then. I retired as an elementary school counselor. I met you about 7 months afterwards because you were actually the doctor to probably, in 1994, 20 of my 27 students in my class. Why? Why do you continue to do this together, shoulder to shoulder, all of these years? What continues to motivate you?
Well, I came to Everett in 1978. There had never been a pediatrician in Everett at that time. Most of the pediatric care was done by family practitioners. I actually was born here in Everett at the Whedon Hospital by a family practitioner. And when I came to Everett, this community is so wonderful. They couldn't do enough for me. They opened their arms and their heart. You know, usually when you come into a community, most of the older children are already taken by other physicians, and you have to stop building a practice with newborns. And when I came into Everett, I I was at the, timing's everything in life, and all of the old GPs are either retiring, dying, or they didn't have the patients for kids anymore. And I got much busier than anyone had a right to get busy. And I was getting 5-year-olds and newborns and 18-year-olds, and God bless the Whidden Hospital. Anyone who showed up in the emergency room who didn't have a physician, a pediatrician, they would send my way. And I have such a debt to try to repay to the city for what it's done for me and my family. And I was looking for some way to try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you came along.
Mm-hmm.
And it just was just what I was looking for at the time.
Mm.
And I can never repay the city for what it's done for me. And but we all must try, so I'm trying.
And I want to say that I believe that Peter is being very humble, because when this little committee, and that's just what it was then, when this little committee came together, we knew that we had to really search our families in our community, because we knew there were so many people out there that didn't know how, they didn't even have the awareness or the education. Peter is really being very humble right now. I said to Peter, Peter, you are the pediatrician in Everett. You see all of these children. You see them not only in the public schools, but also in the religious schools. We need to be able to do public relations, and we need to be able to do marketing. And in 1994, we just did not have the social media that we have right now in 2019. So Peter, in Peter's office, and his wonderful wife, who's a nurse, Donna, really became our social media of the Joint Committee for Children's Healthcare. So there are many reasons why Peter was so instrumental in getting the word out that there is help. And so Peter, I really appreciate that. And then as he talked about, in the newborns and the babies, and not only was he seeing them at the Whidden, but he was also seeing them at the Melrose Wakefield, and lo and behold, along came Eileen Durin. Why, Eileen? Why have you stuck it out with us? Why do you continue to say, yes, Joint Committee, I will help. I know how to do this. We can get people here. The hospital will help. Why do you continue?
Well, I think as a nurse, you go into these professions wanting to help people, wanting to be a part of the community. And for me, I didn't live in the area, so working at Melrose Wakefield Hospital was a wonderful experience. As you can see, many years later, I still work there. But there was the need and the opportunity to do work in the community in a very different way than being at the bedside. So it was a challenge when I went out into the community to work. And one of the things that made it more comfortable for me was coming to Everett, because in the community of Everett, there wasn't a time I went to a meeting that someone didn't give me something to eat that was delicious. I might not have seen it before because we have so many people from so many countries. They gave me a hug and a kiss, and they made me feel like I mattered and I was valued. And it's a very unique experience, and I think we see that in many of these communities such as Revere and Chelsea and Everett. And so for me, it was a place that I really fit. I felt the people needed my help. We knew from some of the work we had been doing at the hospital, we had just merged with Whidden. We knew there was a wonderful school-based health center that was run by Carol Ann O'Leary, Beth Chalkley, Diane Farraher-Smith. And coming on board and being part of the group with them, they asked me to meet the Joint Committee and to talk about how we could approach the health needs, especially in the schools. And I was amazed. I came in with a very, I think, comprehensive and ambitious plan. And when I brought it to the superintendent and the people at the committee, and I said, you know, if you really want to solve some of these problems, we have to make the time. And everyone said yes. And we trained teachers, we trained community school nurses, we trained people who were counselors in the school, and nothing was said about them coming off their job and doing something else. And to me, that was a gift. And from that, we were able to then bring in guest speakers to help parents do some parenting classes. We developed curriculum that made a difference in the health needs of the community. We worked with teen parents, and there were so many things that brought joy and gratification. I remember working with the school nurses around a project that involved nebulizers, because there's a high asthma rate in Everett, and still is. And some of those things exist to this day. And it was never the opportunity to do anything but do work that was joyful with a strong group of people around you. When you work in the community, you're often alone. And here I'm not alone. When we realized there were a lot of families who needed health insurance, we used the school lunch forms and went out to do that. And after my parents were very ill and I needed to change jobs to do something less busy than what I was doing, I worked for the Department of Agriculture, and I did home visits here in Everett. It was kind of funny. People would see me on TV speaking for the Joint Committee, and there I would be at their door talking about their food that they were feeding their children. And I learned so much that I remember one of my favorite projects was a telephone bank we did to help families get enrolled in health insurance. And over the years, it's always been that way. Take a risk, take a step out, and do some really good work for the community. And that's been the why I'm here. No matter what I've done, I worked for the federal government, I've worked for the state of Massachusetts. The one thing I've never changed is I've stayed with the Joint Committee. And now that I'm back at Melrose Wakefield, I continue to see it as one of the most important things I do.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Eileen, you know, this is a wonderful bridge right to our parents. Eileen talked about the parents and bringing in speakers, and there are several other parents, like Roberta Marson and Glenn Crenshaw and Sylvia Pierce, who actually formed, along with yourself, Eileen, Dr. Masucci, myself, and Monica, and several other parents, and actually formed a parent group. And it was really for health reasons and to keep their children healthy and safe. Perfect example is Monica.
Yeah.
Mama, you started with us
Yeah.
with 2 children,
Yeah.
and now you have 4.
Yeah.
Why do you continue? Well, you have 4 children.
Yeah, I think when you stick with the Joint Committee, you stick with the world. Why I'm saying that is like a mother everywhere. It's like the Joint Committee. If you're a part of it, you're not involved in Everett only. You're involved on all the city. And then the good thing, if you come into the office, when you're involved with family, they need a wig. They need everything. They need clothes. So when they come, we have all those information there. Like we send them to Hallmark, like to help with the clothes. We send them to the week. We send them like to food pantry everywhere. So I felt
To
like
Cambridge Health Alliance.
everywhere,
Yep.
YMCA
Yeah,
and everything.
right.
So when
East
I'm saying
Boston.
everywhere, and
Yeah.
I'm like, sometimes we sign them up with Dr. Masucci. They, they
Right.
need a doctor right away. So we need. So what I like about like we help, and we are everywhere. And as my job being an outreach specialist for the Haitian, so you go into every city, they have outreach. So you met other people, you say the word, yeah, you can go to ask for food, that place. You can go to the YMCA, you do this. And with the partner meeting you have, monthly partner meeting, so we have all those information. So I always said to my church, we have to stay there. If you need to know everything about every city, go to the Joint Committee. So they will help you from babies to adult. Because my kids was the Cuba kids. They
That's
were
right.
volunteering.
Yes.
And then they still come in every time people need help, they go
Right.
and help.
Right.
So they there, and they know, oh, if you need a job, okay, Jackie will bring you to the city hall. You know, it's
Right.
everything, like to help families. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm sick here, and get ready for my kids to be here too. We're not leaving. So it's a
That's
good thing.
wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Monica. And now you have met a sample of the people who volunteer, who work for us, who give us great expertise and understanding. How has that why? How has that why, Monica? You know, Monica, you talk about Everett in its diversity. You know that I'm first generation, okay? My mother and father were born in Italy. And all of the thousands of children I have had in the 37 years of teaching and counseling in the Everett schools and living and growing up here in Everett, how have you taken that why and really just made it flourish and helped the Joint Committee become what it is?
Jackie, one thing we have at the Joint Committee, which is good, we have English speaking, Spanish, Creole, and Portuguese. So when you are an immigrant, you feel comfortable when you find somebody who can speak your language. So, and then they're not afraid. They know, okay, even I'm not legal right now, but I can go to that office and I can find someone who will understand me, someone who will tell me, go ask for help here, go do this, go do that. And as immigrants, that's what we need. We don't want people to be scared. We want them to live. We want them to feel comfortable. And staying here, like I said, it's great because we have everything. I'm not like bragging about we have everything. And one thing I want to say, I remember when the earthquake happened in Haiti. So we had Parent University. And you bring that workshop about grieving. And that thing saved my life. When I met the Hallmark Care, people came, the nursing, the visiting nursing, they came. And I was the only one at that workshop. Until today, I stick with them. We're still going to the kids' grieving group because he was the moment I needed.
That's right.
I wasn't depressed because of that. I didn't take any pills. I was okay because of that grieving group. And which, like I can say, Haitian, they don't go to grieving group. So for me, it was a step. And that will put a big impact in my life. Because sometimes people said to me, you lost 13 people, how can you survive? I'm like, God first, and then the Joint Committee with the grieving group.
Thank you, Monica.
Yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Masucci, how? You know, you've talked about the why. We know the deep-rooted appreciation and love you have of Everett. And now we're out there in 79 giving us 80 communities. How are you continuing to help?
Well, Jackie, I think, you know, when I was young and naive and I was in my training, I always thought I might be a pediatrician. But I went to med school with an open mind. I'll do my rotations and I'll see where, if anything, supplants that. Well, it never did. And one of the reasons it didn't, and the allure to me for pediatrics was to be a tiny part of a family unit who I hope could impart some education, maybe some wisdom, some experience, some good advice on healthcare, trying to help dispel a lot of old wives' tales
Yes.
that come from many different countries
And biases
and biases.
and stigmas.
And that's always been a motivation for me. Now, back in the day, we use the term here, building the healthy family. I didn't know that's what I wanted, but that's what I wanted. And it's a special relationship. You know, when I first started practice, so certainly long before '94, I would see patients, and all of a sudden I wouldn't see them for a while. And I was like, oh my God, I wonder if I said something. Come back. And then I'd see them again. Because they had insurance, and then they didn't have insurance, and then they didn't get health care.
Because it was tied in with work
with
or
work.
careers or jobs. And then,
So it was terrible.
Right.
It was terrible to have that kind of disjointed care. And you can't have a healthy family without first access to good health care, right? And it's not just the physical, it's the mental, it's everything else. I mean, that story, I mean, I know you, Monica, and I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And God bless you. So that's the why. I think we're still, all of us, I think, the whole allure of the Joint Committee was that.
right.
So that to me was like a natural. It was kind of like, yeah, that's
And that's how you do it.
That's what we want to do,
Yeah,
or try to do,
yeah.
and that's why I'm still kicking here. I'm going to get it right yet.
Eileen, as you've said, you really have gone out into that national scene of healthcare. And then you came home, and it is true. You never forgot us. How? How? That why? How did you pull us in, and how did you let that grow and help us to grow?
Well, I think, I've always seen the relationships we have as we're really a family. And as Monica was saying, after the earthquake, there was a moment when I received a call from our administrators, and they said, we think that you would be the right person to help these families in crisis. And I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll do something. And we sat down and planned, and I attended many vigils. I did what I could for families who needed. We sent supplies over to Haiti. We made sure that we were out doing home visiting around grief, and we have a wonderful children's grief group that I've used myself for my own grandchildren, and that's how Monica and I got close, and we've become friends, and she works with me at the hospital in one of the programs that we recently just changed to another organization.
But remember, she's ours first.
But we work, we very much work side by side, and that feeling of connectedness. We run a mobile food market for the community, and Monica comes often with her children. And I remember the day she talked about her mother, and she told me that her mother said she would have another child, and Monica has 3 boys and a girl, and she thought very much it was going to be another little boy. But we talked a lot about that it would be a baby girl, and that baby girl celebrated her first communion this year, and Monica's husband had worked with me for a while. It's just that ability to connect. I know Jackie's husband well, I know Peter's family, and we have the chance to get to know each other and use our best strengths for the benefit of the community. And there isn't anything better than that. I think about through all the years and all the projects I've worked on, many of them have been really renowned. And when you go to work in the federal government and you realize that the best is back at home in Massachusetts, it's very telling. I've worked in New York, I've worked in California, I've worked all over the country. My home state was Connecticut for almost 4 years. And despite all of the good work that I saw, I could remember that the people here are where I want to be. I'm, like Jackie, a product of immigrant family, and my grandfather came here and was not, as we say, legal because he didn't know that you had to fill in papers. He floated down a river with his brother from Canada, and they later found that they needed to fill in papers. So these are the things, you know, many of us are immigrants, and in the country and in the world in which we live in today, I think the most important thing is to remember that it's all about the people that you surround yourself with. In many parts of my life, when I've had a down day, Jackie's pulled out her counselor's help and helped me, and Peter's always willing to give me a laugh, and we talk about some of the things that are hard for families and hard for us as well as we get older. But this committee is here because of the good work and because of the people.
Eileen, I'd like you to continue talking about you and the connections and how we grew. You were very instrumental in the how of our accomplishments. Can you talk more?
Sure.
And maybe even be a little bit specific about funding and in the early part, in the beginning. You know, in the beginning, in 1994, at the end of that year, we were a committee of about 16 people. And we had no money. And Pollen Junior High School at the time, the parent group, gave us a donation of $250. We thought we were rich. Eileen, talk to us more.
So in those days, as not currently today, we did have some community funds that we were able to use to support organizations. We do today in different ways, but in those days, it was really critically important to get behind a program and projects. So the hospital decided to work on a couple of important things. One was a program that helped to bring 911 to the communities. It helped to bring defibrillators to many of our local communities, and our goal was to train 10,000 people in CPR in a 3-year period, and we were able to train over 12,000. At the same time, another project we worked on was this change in how we could help the Joint Committee and the City of Everett improve the health of both their residents and also the children in their schools. And so the hospital was able to provide some money, to seed money, if you will, for 3 years to get the committee up and running, to help it build a structure. Throughout the years, we've done things like strategic planning, where we've really planned for our next initiatives and what those might be. And I think as well as the core mission, which is to help people enroll and stay enrolled in health insurance, has never changed, but how we go about the education pieces and all changes with the times. We have 3 financial counselors at Melrose Mayfield Healthcare. They work very hard every day to ensure that people have health insurance, access to WIC and SNAP and all the other benefits that people have available to them. But many times, because we're so busy, we need the help of organizations, and we'll meet with the Joint Committee with their outreach workers to talk about, because the Joint Committee is really has expertise in working with families that are having more difficulty because maybe they speak a different language, or as Monica said, they just don't feel as safe. We do have those languages available at the hospital. We do open our doors to anyone who would like to come, and you'll see us working jointly. And I think the Joint Committee taught us that everybody at the table has value, and that competition goes away and collaboration begins. So we work hand in hand with Cambridge Health Alliance, with Mass General, with East Boston Neighborhood Health, and we find ways, because in the community, different from so much of the business world, we really need each other to be successful and to make those big population health changes, which are so important. We need to look at the diseases that are here in the community. We need to look at the causes, many of which are social determinants, such as lack of transportation, lack of health insurance, lack of services in general for families. And then we need to look even beyond that into the policies that we use to support families and children. Even from me, as Peter said, I owe a great debt to the city of Everett, from people on the school committee to city councilors, the mayor. We have our WIC program here at Everett City Hall, and we're grateful for the opportunity we have and what the city has given to all of us, and especially to me, through these great relationships I've been able to develop over time. Thank you.
And all of that and so much more. Eileen is actually being extremely humble here. In the very early years when we really had nothing, it was through Eileen and the then CEO, it was really Melrose Wakefield Hospital that we were able to write for grants, and year 3, 4, and 5, they gave us grants to help sustain our work. That is really a huge accomplishment for us, because not only were we able to attain that kind of funding, but it also set the tone that the Joint Committee is more than a committee. And so many people realized they need a home. In these 25 years, we have gone through 4 mayors. 4 mayors, and all 4 of them, in their own strong way, supported the Joint Committee and our endeavors. And it was really Melrose Wakefield that set the tone and gave a model. So that is really another way how you in particular were able to bring this forward, and we were able to make accomplishments. Monica, go outside the box of being mom. What have you done for the parents and the families in this community? And maybe not only just the Haitians, for the accomplishments.
You know, I always think, like, if we were like a business, maybe we might not be celebrating 25 years bankruptcy, maybe. But if we, like, the Joint Committee is open and we give without waiting anything back, we give, and then that make it us at that time now 25 years. And what I can say, like, when in my church I go every Sunday and I say, okay, if you need help, we can help you, come to the Joint Committee. And the last thing I did, it was Saturday, I helped a 90 years old woman to fill out her paper, citizenship, to become a citizen, and she got it for free. Why? Because I work when the YMCA was doing the outreach, and I found, and everywhere they were doing the backpack, giving school supply, and one of the vendor was citizen, an organization with citizenship. They were helping people, and I took a flyer and I said, oh, I know people who need it. So I went to church and I said, if you need help, 28th of September, this is Citizen Days. You can come and I'll help you. And that woman said, I'm 91 years old. I want to be a citizen. I have no one to help me. Would you help me? I said, okay. But I didn't know what I put myself in. So I helped her I make the phone call. She doesn't speak English. I signed up her. And then I ended up going with her in Wilkes-Barre. And we did everything. I interpreted for her. We did everything. And I asked a lot of questions, and I found out if she was a MASF member, she could get it for free. She was so happy, $725 she didn't have to pay. So I did that, and I was able to do it because I was working. And I go near the vendors, look what's going on, and tell what's going on. And I remember when I start with the joint committee, we were only two. We have only one person working with Jackie, and people coming to volunteer. Now we have a lot of staff members. And then we didn't have social media. Now we have social media. So it's like, for me, it's like I see the growing. We're growing. And we didn't have Portuguese speaking. I was the first Haitian Creole speaking. Now we have two. And we didn't have French, but then we speak French so we can help the Moroccan, you know. But this is the way I saw those, like the thing growing and get better and better and better. So I think it's not only on healthcare, we help on every way. And when I see, okay, we give help for nothing, so I want to do it. I want to do other part. I want to involve in other things.
And if I can make a comment here about Monica, Monica's first all about family. And though she has helped so many children, so many parents, her example was a 91-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And the Joint Committee does not only take care of children and families, young families, older families, those who are seniors.
Yeah, we help them
There are
too.
so many seniors who need so much help. Monica, back 10, 12 years ago, has been really a real mover and groover, if I can say that, and really pushing forward that our seniors need help. And she also mentioned the whole issue of, well, you know, if we were a business, we'd be bankrupt because we had no money.
No money.
But we're not a business.
Yep.
And we are a nonprofit, and we have been incorporated. And our funding comes from donations and sponsors and grants. Some of us never trained, never educated ourselves to be grant writers. And here we are, right, Peter? Eileen, Monica, myself, here we are 25 years later, writing grants. And not only just for our children, but for our families. Really, from those who are very small, very young, from babies, and even babies who are not yet born, all the way to our seniors. And that's really how you've helped us accomplish. And Peter, where have you come in? I could probably be here all night, but I want you to tell us in your own words. How have you really helped us in the accomplishments?
Well, the committee is a committee, and it's a wonderful committee. In fact, you know, at some point during our 25 years, going back a ways, Massachusetts passed universal health care.
Right.
And we had a meeting after that was passed. And we said, well, does that mean we disband now? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to have health care. There's no need for us anymore. Right? And then we looked around the table, and all volunteers. And if you looked around the table back in that day, the talent that was around that table was very impressive, volunteering their time to come to those meetings. And with that talent there, we realized that we weren't just advocating for health care, but we're advocating for children's health in general. And to disband at that point, I think, with the talent we had, would have been a waste. And it allowed us to grow and to do more. You know, the model for this committee has been people have tried to copy this model. Jackie was. People had reached out to Jackie on many occasions wanting the blueprint for how can I do this in my community. And Jackie would go and spend time and talk, and no one has done it. No one's done it. So the Joint Committee for Children's Health Care in Everett has really become the Joint Committee for Children's Health Care, because we're servicing now not only Everett, but all the surrounding communities, because they found out they can't reinvent the wheel. Let's use Everett's wheel. And that's how it's grown. And now we take in the seniors. Pretty soon we can just call ourselves the Joint Committee for Healthcare. The way we're going.
No, we always have to start with the children.
Absolutely. Well, I have no argument for me on that. But it's and that's what we're all about. You know, we went on and passed curriculum in the school system when they didn't have a health program, and Eileen was front and center with some of that back in the day, which was a little bit fun and a little bit harrowing. But so we've accomplished so much more after that bill was passed that we look what we're doing today that wouldn't have been done. It just wouldn't have been done.
Right.
And you know, I was a small cog in most of this, and there were a lot of people doing a lot of heavy lifting, and you know, I was here to try to provide some expertise if I could, but it's been a wonderful experience. And Jackie also mentioned ways that we try to sustain ourselves. We also try to sustain ourselves by having fundraisers, which is what we're going to have October 25th. And if anyone has seen the value in what this committee has done over the years, we hope you'll take some time and at least make a small contribution to help us continue. It's been a wonderful committee.
Thank you, Peter. And as we end on this note, I just want to talk to you about our mission. We are the Joint Committee for Children's Healthcare in Everett first, and maybe for the rest of the state. We believe in that everyone, particularly our children, should be healthy and safe and feel wellness. And they have to be able to be aware of this. They have to know what's out there for them. Yes, we did have the passage of ACA, but we know that in Massachusetts, we had it several years prior to the nation getting it. We need to continue this awareness and this education. Our mission is to make sure that healthy children and people make our communities strong. Years and years ago, there was a bumper sticker that was put together that said, you don't have to have great wealth in order to have good health. Do you know that we still use that? Our accomplishments have been tremendous through these people here and so many people over the 25 years. We have 27 partners that meet once a month with us. We have a board of 10 people. We now have a staff of 11. I am no longer the volunteer executive director. This makes my heart sing. Because a young woman came to us 10 years ago, and her name is Nicole Graff. She came as a volunteer and then started working as the little liaison for our teens. And she learned everything she could. She got herself educated. She moved up to be our administrative assistant and then our office manager. And Nicole Graff today, 10 years later, is our executive director, and the joint committee has now and is now able to pay her. 25 years later, I remember one of the mayors saying to me, "You're a very small committee. You're so small, but you're so mighty." And indeed we are. We are a nonprofit. We are incorporated. We still write for grants. And as Peter has asked, that you bring some donations, that you sponsor us. The biggest accomplishment that we have made is that we have been able to go throughout this community, and indeed I might say throughout the Commonwealth. And over these 25 years, the Joint Committee has serviced directly 279,000 families. Yes, I get emotional about that. Excuse me. Because I remember my little 6th grade Doris. Let me repeat this. In 25 years, this small but mighty organization has serviced and directly given services and help to 279,000 families, not individuals, families. We have reached out to, over the 25 years, 810,000 people. Our word is out there. They know us as being honest. They know us as being dedicated. They know us as being committed. They know us that they get the job done. For everyone. For all of us. Rob Restuccia would be so proud of the work that we have done and the help that he gave us. Yes, indeed, Peter, you're correct. 25 years, we're celebrating October 25th. From 6:30 to 10 o'clock, our grand gala celebration at the Hotel Sonesta, which is just across the river, and we even now represent that part of Boston. We invite you to attend. The tickets are on sale at the Joint Committee office, and thank you, Mayor Carlo Di Maria, for all of the help that you have given to us with that office space. You can reach us in room 2 for purchasing tickets, or call us at 617-394-2414. We are accepting up until October 24th. We are accepting donations. We are accepting sponsorships. And we are still accepting you. And if you need help, if you need good health care, you need to remember that the Joint Committee for Children's Health Care is still here to serve you. There are people in the community of Everett that I really feel compelled to thank. There are many, many people but there are two in particular who have stepped up and said, we will help. We will help on this 25th year anniversary. And those are our two honorary chairs. That is the great and wonderful Senator Sal DiDomenico and our compassionate Honorable Mayor Carlo Di Maria. They will be our two honorary chairs. There will be champions this year, as we've had for the last 21 years, and those champions will be all of us and all of you. I really look forward to seeing all of you on October 25th. Please come to visit us. Gather your tickets at 617-394-2414. See our new, she's not so new anymore, our Executive Director, Nicole Graff. I wish for you always good health, because that is what is most important in life. It sustains us. With all due respect, thank you so much, Monica, Eileen, Peter. We could not do this without you, and literally the hundreds of people that have helped us, worked with us, donated to us in these last 25 years. Join us on October 25th at the Hotel Sonesta, because this is 25 years and the journey will still continue. Thank you so very much.